Hey everybody, I Like People 1 here with a new green Tron deck tech. We've gotten some new additions in the recent sets that really make this deck light off and have a better game against a lot more of the field. Let's jump right into it with the first new card that I'm very excited about. It's so good. Blast Zone. Comes into play untapped with a charge counter on it. So right away, you can hit everything with one. It also gives you a non-Oblivion Stone way to kind of clear the board of problem permanents. You can also fetch it up with Sylvan Scrying or Expedition Map. All these are fantastic. You can find it on Ancient Stirrings, obviously. It has been a powerhouse, to say the least. The biggest point of that is that it is a non-Oblivion Stone way to clear the board of problem permanents. The next thing, let's look at our other suite here. 4 Forest, Ghost Quarter, and Sanctum of Ugin get you there. From behind, this can be out of this world because they can counter a Karn, but then you just go get an Ulamog and cast that next turn. Ghost Quarter for problem lands. Field of Ruin if they misplay it, or Celestial Colonnade, stuff like that. So the regular suite of low-cost spells for Sylvan Scrying, for Ancient Stirrings. Ancient Stirrings, look at the top 5 cards of your library. You may reveal a colorless card from among them and put it into your hand. Then put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. So this is great at finding you your win cons. It's great at finding you your Tron pieces. It pretty much draws you whatever card you want in the deck. Not whatever card you want, but whatever, let's say, functionality you are looking for. Because a lot of this deck is redundancy. We go with one Relic of Progenitus here. I'll talk about this a little bit later. It's great to have at least one of these in the main deck. Worst case Ontario, it draws you a card. And the best case Ontario, it chips away an opponent's graveyard or exiles the entire thing and leaves them completely destitute. The next is the Oblivion Stones. How many do you play? 3 or 4? I'm normally a fan of 4, but our 4th one is in the sideboard. And with our next... There it is, see it? With our next card that we'll look at, we will examine why that's in the sideboard. My favorite addition to the deck, Karn the Great Creator. This card is bonkers. 4 mana cost, 5 loyalty planeswalker with a static ability of activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated. So this is even mana abilities too. It does not distinguish. The +1. Until your next turn, up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power and toughness equal to its converted mana cost. The -2, and here's the real payoff. You may choose an artifact card you own from outside the game or in exile. Reveal that card, put it into your hand. So I think this is a perfect time to take a peek at the toolbox. We've got a Grafdigger's Cage to stop Dredge from going nuts. We've got Liquimetal Coating. So with this card, you can start turning their permanents into artifacts whose abilities they cannot activate during their turns. For example, planeswalkers or lands. Also, if you turn something into an artifact that has a 0 converted mana cost, i.e. a land, and then you +1 card targeting that artifact, you destroy that land. So, it's a fun little lock against opposing Tron decks. Sorcerer's Spyglass, pretty neat. So this is great against blue-eye control decks, great against opposing Tron decks, and I'm sure we'll see a bunch of wacky synergies here. I've played maybe 20 matches, I should say, with this deck, and lost 5, somewhere around 15-5. One of which was a 5-0 league, which was really fun. Crucible of Worlds. So one of the hardest things about Tron on 19 lands, trying to assemble this package of 1 mine, 1 power plant, and 1 tower to have them all tap for 7 mana instead of 3, is you face a lot of land destruction. Hansa, Green-Black, Jund, these all just have so much hate for your lands. And sometimes you can just get to Karn naturally by just playing lands, because you don't need Tron to hit 4 mana. And you can go get Crucible of Worlds and start playing your lands and just run them out of the time that they've wasted and the resources they've wasted on destroying your lands. Ensnaring Bridge. This is a great card against any giant aggro strategies. There's a new Elementals deck that makes all their Elementals huge. You just go grab Ensnaring Bridge and kind of wait around until you draw a Karn Liberated or a Ulamog Ceaseless Hunger. The 4th Oblivion Stone is rested here to be the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th Oblivion Stone with Karn Creator. If it's in the deck, I only have the 60 out of 4 chance of drawing it. But if it's not in the deck, I have this 7 out of 60 to draw it. It does possibly take an extra turn, but I can be sure to find the Oblivion Stone. That has been a problem, even with 4 Oblivion Stones in the deck. Sometimes you just get underwater, and like a Karn Liberated isn't really going to do it, because you can only exile 1 thing and then they immediately kill it, so you just paid 7 colorless for a Vindicate when they have 6 creatures, and they're all 5/5s. bunch of Gurmag Anglers and Tarmogoyfs and what have yous. Trinisphere, really fun against Burn. What else is this great against? Anything that's trying to go off with low mana cost spells. Brought it in against Burn, and it really locks him down. The last guy, and probably the most fun, maybe the most egregious, is Mycosynth. So this is kind of a 10 mana play, just like Ulamog and Ceaseless Hunger. It says, it's a 6 mana artifact. All permanents are artifacts in addition to their other types. That's the most important line. All cards that aren't on the battlefield, spells, and permanents are colorless. Players may spend mana as though it were mana of any color. Obviously, you get your fringe cases where those last two sentences are going to matter. But really, we're just looking at all permanents are artifacts in addition to their other types, as well as Karn's static ability of activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control cannot be activated. This means that all of their lands are artifact lands that cannot tap for mana. The only thing they have left to do is attack with creatures, so hopefully you've dealt with that prior, or you've raced them out a little bit faster, and you can just lattice lock them. I'm not sure if this actually has a place in the deck. It might be better to go grab a different piece, but this is such a hard lock that it's a lot of fun. You know, so another couple of additions here while we're on the sideboard. Spatial Contortion, colorless, kill a creature, 3 toughness. Veil of Summer is a nice way to get your spells past some counter spells, as well as giving yourself hexproof. Mind you, this is only from blue and black spells, mostly from black. You can, let's say, do this against a Liliana of the Veil. Yes, you can force through stuff on counter spells, and you get to draw a card. So I think it's a fine inclusion of 1. Thragtusk, 1 of in the board, 1 of in main. I went down 1 relic for this Thragtusk just because Burn is a really bad matchup for us. Sometimes we do get underwater when we don't get Tron, or we get messed with in our lands a little bit by a Field of Ruin that's main for somebody. And so this just gives us a little bit more reach. Not super necessary to get Tron, to get a Thragtusk online, and it can buy us those couple of extra turns that we need to go Urza's Tower, Karn Great Creator, Mycosynth Lattice. Fun times. And then Nature's Claim. This destroys problematic artifacts or enchantments like Damping Sphere, Aether Vial. It also comes in against not humans. It does come in against humans, but it also comes in against Burn, because you can destroy your own artifacts and gain 4 life from them. And a lot of times 2 cards for 4 life for 2 mana, and sometimes a draw off that will keep you out of the range of Burn just long enough to stabilize. Burn is a terrible matchup still, but it went from 80-20 to 70-30. So yeah, 65-35. But otherwise, the suite of Wormcoil Engine, big old guy, leaves behind a couple little old guys. Ulamog the Ceaseless Hunger. You cast this, you get to exile 2 things, and then it's a 10/10 indestructible that when it attacks, it exiles the top 20 cards of their library. Seems not bad. Like I said, the Thragtusk. Walking Ballista is a great way to close out the game, to take care of problem stuff in the beginning. A middle blocker that does pose a threat later game. Walking Ballista is a fantastic card here. Ugin the Spirit Dragon, a great sweeper. Some decks just cannot recover from a resolved Ugin, like humans, for example, as long as they, humans. Karn Liberated. If you're turn 3 Karning every game, you're going to win GPs. You're going to go to the Pro Tour. You're going to mark your lands, and that's how you continue to turn 3 Karn Liberated. Oh man, those Tron lands were marked. Okay, so I think that is the entire deck. Why don't we take it out for a spin in a league?